Kia ora koutou, hello everyone, and welcome along to a special bonus extra episode. This week I have gone positively bonkers for content and dropped 3 ovaries. This is because this week is the week of International Women's Day. So I thought, what better way to celebrate women than to bring in a man? And not just any man, a man who celebrates me every single day. My husband, Matthew Harvey, or as his mum used to call him, and now so do I, Matty Matt. Hello!
Hello. Thank you for that wonderful introduction.
That's quite all right. There's a longer one coming, as I always do with others.
Good.
Yes. And how you doing?
I'm all right.
So you're just starting a new job.
I am indeed, yes.
So you were part of the Great Resignation.
Yes.
Yeah, but you've been working in drafting and building services for engineering for a long time, and you went, fuck this shit.
I don't want to do that anymore.
And now you are working in a bike shop.
Yeah.
And you got your first proper day tomorrow.
Yeah.
So how you feeling?
All right, yeah. I mean, in an ideal world, I'd stay at home because it's much more fun.
Because you just had 2.5 months off.
Yeah, and it's been glorious.
It's really, yeah, but don't you, like, you know...
I don't get... You said that when I resigned. You're like, won't you get bored? I'm like, no, I will not. And I have not got bored.
But it's time to go back to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I need some help with the groceries.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought that I'd be the sugar mommy in this equation?
I mean, I'm quite happy with that scenario.
So this is just a
I'm empowering you.
You are. You see, this is the thing. The first time I suggested this idea, Matt said, but should I be taking up space on International Women's Day? And I was like, well, that's why I married you. You're a feminist, a feminazi as well. So you're just feminist enough to allow me to support you.
Yes. That's it. That's how it works.
Okay, marvellous. So what I thought, yes, I thought that we'd get Matt along because he has been immersed in menopause, positively swimming in it.
Slathered in menopause.
Slathered
in menopause. That's how my life has been.
I've been rubbing estrogen all over your bits, haven't I? All over your... But I was going to say willy. I never say willy.
Neither do I. I mean, you know, I'm an adult now.
True. Yeah, so I thought I'd see what rubbed off on him, as it were, about being here while I was doing this menopause podcast, etc. So it was actually you really encouraged me to do it at the beginning because I was a bit of a sad case, wasn't I, in the last lockdown?
Yeah. You were spending a lot of time in your pajamas, looking at your phone, looking at all the bad news, looking at all the stories of people being fucking morons, and that's enough to depress anyone. But you know, because I knew that if you tried it, that you'd be good at it, because you know you're generally good at things that you try. That's how I see it anyway.
Thank you very much. Right, okay, yeah. And I just needed... And you were great too because you talked about... And this has happened, that when you start a podcast, you can get some other opportunities. Like, I was part of a podcast festival. I gave a speech to Parliament, for God's sake. So, because you're a bit more podcast au fait, I think, than I was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't listen hugely to podcasts. You know, I'm more, as you well know, I'm more of a music man.
Oh my God, he is.
Yeah.
Listens to so much. How many records did you buy today?
I got quite a few. A lot.
Like 12?
$200 worth, let's be honest.
Yes, because he got a voucher from my parents for Christmas for helping clean up the house for them to sell it. So,
and
yes.
It's been burning a hole in my pocket since then.
I know. It's like you were so good. You were like, I'm waiting till I get a job before I indulge myself in records in a way. So, yeah. Well done. Very good, very good. So, okay, so I'll do my longer introduction for you now, and then I have some questions like I do for everybody else. So, here we go. Matthew Harvey was born in 1976 at Leeds Infirmary. He grew up in Castleford, which is a former mining town in Yorkshire, so you can probably tell it's a bit foreign, that Margaret Thatcher kind of ripped the heart out of. He has a t-shirt that says, "Still hate Thatcher," so we align somewhat politically. He wasn't the best student at school, being as he wasn't a fan of doing any study at all. Is that fair?
I'm just not a fan of doing things. Study falls under the umbrella of things.
Anyway, so he fell into the world of drafting for engineering, which was his career for 30 years, until in December he went, good God, I hate this shit, and quit. He moved to New Zealand in 2004, and in 2009 we both just happened to be performing at an open mic in the London Bar in Auckland.
R.I.P. the London Bar.
Indeed, it was a good bar. I liked his poem about wanting to be like Tom Jones. He liked my poem about getting angry about feminist shit for a change, and the rest is history. He has since performed at the Edinburgh Fringe, the Winnipeg and Edmonton Fringes, Auckland Fringe and Comedy Fest, and the Dunedin Fringe, where he was also nominated for Best Comedy. He was a finalist in the Raw Comedy Quest, and his 4-star review from the CBC in Winnipeg said this: Harvey appears endearingly dishevelled and rhymes a lot, but his slashing wit and seductive verbal skill have reduced experienced operatives, it was sort of a spy thing, to laughter, gasping sycophants in only a fraction of the hour you'll spend with him. So, we're going to spend a fraction of an hour with him as well, so please welcome to Showy Ovaries, my husband. Yay!
Thank you very much.
But you don't actually like performing anymore, do you?
It's not so much the performing, it's everything else that goes with that, you know.
So you've seen, people might not realise how much work goes behind the scenes of hustle.
Hustle, writing is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, you're not very good at writing on demand.
No.
But you were so good on stage.
The moments leading up to performing are awful as well.
Oh, like the stress. And
and just, nerves.
But you wear holes in the ground.
The bit where you're on stage and the sort of the few hours immediately afterwards are great.
Yeah.
I recommend everyone try it once.
And then you spiral into self-doubt.
Yes.
And FOMO, and why have they got their gig and I haven't?
Exactly.
And,
even though you know that's a ridiculous way to think.
Except it's like your whole life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you went, no, I'm had enough of that. But yeah, I've still got a lot of hustle left, but there's just not much to hustle about at this point in time. But anyway.
Podcast hustle.
That's right, and you've been very supportive to me, so I appreciate you. Thank you. So, first question, as always, is what has your relationship with your body been like in your life, and how has that changed as you have matured?
Wow, yeah, well, it's definitely had its ups and downs. So, I mean, I've kind of been like, I'd say 2 major things that stand out really. Is the one that's like sort of school age. I was like a skinny kid,
right?
So I was like, teased and mocked for being skinny.
What, relentlessly?
It's hard to say because at the time it seemed like it.
Did they sort of compare you to things or called you names?
Yeah, like not very particularly nice names, which I don't want to repeat here. But
so I want you to.
I know because it's not nice.
Fair.
So yeah. So let's say at the time it seemed like that, but I mean, looking back, it probably wasn't for very long. Maybe.
Right. Okay.
Because kids are like, they probably then moved on to the next person.
The little assholes is what kids are like.
Little shits.
And so you're actually 6'2", so I fit under your chin very nicely.
Yeah.
And so did you grow early? Was that part of it?
No, I was always kind of at the tall end of like the school classes kind of thing, but there was always somebody sort of taller than me kind of thing.
Right.
It just...
Yeah, and you feel that you had a problem with your knees? Is that
No,
right?
I don't have a problem with my knees. My knees are marvellous. I don't know if you should put a post for the picture of this. It should be a picture of my knees.
Just sometimes your knees can look a little bit like Edvard Munch's The Scream.
I mean, they're incredibly lumpy, but that makes them fantastic in my book. It's the passed down from the marvellous genes that I have been. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
The gene lottery. I won the knee section.
If only there was a competition for such things.
Well, I mean, I think in the olden, like the early days of holiday camps, like at Heidi High and Butlins and that, they used to do like knobbly knee competitions in there. I'm sure they did.
They had knobbly knee competitions.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So you've missed your time.
I have. I was born 40 years too late, something like that. I don't know.
Right. Okay.
I would have been a knobbly knee champion.
You really would. Yeah. So they're a work of art.
And then we might never have met if our lives would have gone on different trajectories.
Am I not good enough for a knobbly knee champion?
Wow. I mean, do you want a knobbly knee champion? I don't know.
Yes.
Is that what you? Okay, there we go then. We would have found each other eventually. Then I'd done if the knobbly knee World Cup had have been in New Zealand, I would have been here.
I would have been in the front row, absolutely. Yeah. Right, okay, and then what other things about your body?
Like I say, it's been quite good because I'm quite lucky. I've never had any sort of real weight issues. But the one thing that sort of happened, and reasonably recently, is the fact that I've gone bald.
Yeah.
Well, I say it happened recently.
Yeah.
It happened longer ago than I sort of...
It really did.
I held on for the longest time, but it's kind of a big decision when you're used to your head looking sort of one way for, since ever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's going to look a different way completely. It's very hard to get your head around that.
We have a picture of you as a baby and you look exactly the same now.
Yeah, I see. And I maybe didn't want to look like a giant baby. That's... But
I know, and you really did. It was like I tried to be sort of nice, and I think I was nice.
Yeah, I mean, it needed to happen, but as I say, it's a very difficult thing to let go of. And you say I look like a giant baby, but I
didn't say that.
I like to think I'm a sexier Jason Statham. That's what I'm going for.
Of course you are.
And yeah,
that's right. Anyway, I think for me was that you wouldn't keep your hair cut very well. So you would get it cut like once every 3 months or something, and so then you just looked like some crazed Professor old man with this wispy hair. You wouldn't like comb it over or anything, but yeah, so that's why it was like, okay, Matthew, it's time.
Well, I mean, that's one of the sort of added bonuses of it is that I get to do it, like cut my own hair now and shave my head on my own time. Yeah. So it doesn't cost me any money either, which is good.
Yes.
It's just a hassle having to go somewhere to have your head like fiddled with by a stranger.
Some people pay good money to have their head fiddled with by a stranger.
I was cheap. It was $20, I think.
I know, women's haircuts are so much more expensive, but yet you still wouldn't go and spend the money. But yeah, so this is good now that you shave it all off and you have a fetching cape.
I do, yes, a leopard skin cape. It adds to the...
The lovely people at Kokomo Haircutters gave me that to give to you, which was fabulous of them. Yes, and you can do it at home. But, and a lot of people are sort of derisive and there's bald jokes and all that. But I just one day thought to myself, looked in the mirror and imagined my own hairline just marching backwards. Yeah. And it's a lot.
It is. It's kind of a...
Yeah, but you look very sexy.
Thank you very much. Like I say, a sexy Jason Statham.
That's right. Right, okay. And then you broke your leg at one point. So that's had some repercussions insofar as your being is concerned.
Yeah. I mean, it ended my football career.
Yeah. Yeah. You were about to be signed for New Zealand.
Fully. Yeah.
Or Manchester United. Except there's kind of twats at Manchester United, isn't it?
Twats everywhere.
In football.
Football, yeah. I'd say football, it's a great game, but it's usually ruined by the people that watch it, the people that play it, and the people that run it as well. So
There you go. Yeah. So you were sliding in for an epic save.
I was sort of down, prone, sort of going for a save, and some guy just slid in straight to my leg. It was completely accidental. I mean, a bit reckless, but accidental, and broke both the tib and fib.
Right, and you're bionic now, you've got some plates.
Yeah.
And I remember I knew somebody that was there because I married them, not as a bigamist, as a celebrant, and they said the thing that they could remember the most was the screaming.
Yeah, well, at the time, it obviously was quite painful. It's hard to, because your brain obviously wipes pain out, doesn't it? And you can't remember just exactly how it felt. But the thing I can remember the most is as I sort of, because it was like an instant thing, and as I sort of tensed my body to get up, I knew I'd been hit, but I didn't know anything about. But as soon as I tensed my body to get up, I could feel that the bottom section of my leg was like not going to go anywhere, and it was like that's when I started screaming, basically.
And it was
just a weird feeling. Right.
It
didn't flop about because I didn't actually lift it up, but I could just sense that's not good.
Right. And now you can sense the change of seasons in your joints.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
An
old man thing.
Yeah. And you've also developed some new ailments recently.
Have I?
Yeah, with your gout.
Oh, yeah, gout.
Yes.
Yeah, that's... That was kind of the first lockdown. We went a bit mental on the booze.
We
didn't
drank. We drank.
And I woke up with a pain on my foot.
Yeah, and it was really, and I was really nice and understanding.
Well, I mean, you were at the beginning. You were like, "Oh, well, let's get this sorted." But then, because I don't know if anyone has gout, that it's just if you ever flare up, you get the slightest knock, it sends like shockwaves of pain through your body. It's not very pleasant. So I was climbing up the stairs. I kicked my toe on the stairs and sort of collapsed in a heap on the floor, and you just started laughing.
I don't know. It's a thing. It's like once you fell down the stairs, I made sure that you were alive, and then I started laughing. I know, what a bitch. Yeah. And now if I hurt myself in any way, he goes, and points at me. But yeah. So, and if you don't know, gout is little crystals of acid in your joints. So yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
It's not. But, it's all controlled by medication.
Hooray!
As long as you remember to take it.
That's right. Well, you might get a flare up when you're on holiday in the South Island. Hooray! Right. Okay. Anything else about your body?
Not really, no.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a sexy, sexy thing. So, did you know anything about menopause before I started all of this?
Not really. I knew it was kind of it was like, spoke about in hushed tones. It's like, the change.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like...
Did you know about any of the symptoms, like hot flushes?
No.
So not even that?
No.
Right,
it was kind of... I was vaguely... It's like... Does menstruation stop? Was that... It was like, women stop...
Yeah.
Yeah, so that stops.
Were you genuinely asking me that question?
Well, it's kind of like... It's like... Is that something I knew? I don't know. It's kind of... Yeah, it's...
Right. You really didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I haven't taught you very well if you didn't know that.
Well, but the thing is, because what I have learned from you is that almost anything can happen. So does that by also mean that anything might not happen? So I just don't know. It's
all about the end of being a reproductive female.
Yeah.
And, that's what your periods are for ultimately.
Right.
So, yes.
So that's not a symptom where that could carry on. I don't know.
I haven't actually talked to too many women that have had just continual bleeding. So I'm not sure about that. There's something to investigate. So your mother never talked to you about her...
No. It's not something you discuss at school.
No.
Yeah.
And you absolutely should. Did you have to go into separate rooms for sex education for boys and girls and all that? Or for about puberty and things?
No, I don't think so. I think there's bits where you do it together, but then there was at one point, like, the girls did do something else. I can't remember what we were doing. It might have been playing football or something. We get an extra PE lesson, but the girls had to do something and go...
It was probably about periods.
And probably
tampons and pads.
Yeah, it probably was. And they didn't want to upset our sensitive boy ears.
I know. Fuck your boy ears, so to speak. Lovely, but then something did happen with your mother, right?
Well, after the first episode of Showy Ovaries, my parents listened, and I was on this sort of a semi-regular chat that we have over Skype. And it was casually at the end of the conversation, we were saying goodbyes, and she went, "Oh, by the way, Matthew, I breezed through mine," is what she said. She kind of leant into the camera and went, "I breezed through mine," which I was pleased to hear. So I came back up and delightfully happy to tell you.
Yes, exactly. I loved it. I was fostering menopause conversation between the generations and the sexes. So.
Exactly.
Hooray. So that is good to hear. So now we talked about like motivations for the podcast, etc. So how have you found being in the house with me doing the podcast?
It's fine. It's great. It's good to see you kind of like busy.
Yeah.
Most of your work, if not all of your work, has disappeared. So it's good that you've got like a focus, something to focus on and work at. I mean, the only downside is that there are times where I have to be quiet. I get locked in the basement. Shh! Don't say anyone. Don't say the words. Don't say anything. And I have to stay down there and be quiet while you speak to impressive ladies.
Yes, like once you were trying to make bread, and I was like, "Can you stop that?"
Yeah.
Very annoying. Stop with your domestic duties and go back to your cave.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad. So, what's the most disturbing thing that you have learnt?
Well, the words vaginal and atrophy, when you put those together, it's kind of just, it's like send a shiver down your spine. It's a bit of a...
Yeah.
It sounds like a grim prospect.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you didn't know it. What? No, you didn't.
Yeah, I didn't know anything, so I didn't know. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And so, of course, I've been experiencing some fun times recently with my vagina/vulva news network.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been quite full on, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's it's not pleasant for me to see you such discomfort when it's kind of like a constant thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then once I asked you to take a picture.
I mean, on your phone, so it's not on my phone. I didn't save it or anything.
I know, 'cause that would be the most revenge porn if you're posting that.
But it was, it was funny. It was a funny experience, because especially at the point where I looked up and looked at your face and you were smiling. The camera wasn't even pointing at your face, but you were smiling.
I know, I was doing one of those say cheese moments, which we don't want to actually say cheese in a moment.
Oh yeah, not cheese.
No, not cheese. And it's funny, right? Because I'm all about encouraging everyone to be so open, but I hated that. I hate it. I hate you taking a picture of that. It's just like, it's not. Yeah, genitals are not fetching. It's not very pretty.
They're not pretty things, are they? But like from both sides.
Both sides.
From both sides. From both men and women.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, oh.
Well, it's because it's like, I think, looking at real people's sex bits. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and not like the sort of the airbrushed, waxed, bleached sort of.
There'll be none of that with me.
Yeah, and it's just not a good. It doesn't a good ideal if that's your idea of what things should look like.
So have you watched a lot of porn? We haven't really talked about that.
Well, here and there, every now and again.
So yes.
It's the answer, yeah.
And so, and when did you first look at that sort of thing?
Oh, I mean, probably the first experience of porn would have been like the phenomena that is bush porn, or hedge porn. I don't know.
Is this some sort of fetish?
No, but like, it's. I don't know if it happens here, but like back in the day when it was in magazines, sometimes you'd maybe find one discarded somewhere that.
What, you just find them in a bush?
Well, it's not like an everyday occurrence. You're just like, let's go to the porn bush, see if anything has grown. It's not like you plant one and it's just sometimes that'd be the thing. Then, I mean, I'm sure.
No, I've never heard of porn in a bush. And this is talking about pews, right? So there was just porn littered about the north of England.
No, but just because it wasn't like a regular occurrence. When it did happen, it'd be quite a thing,
And were they stick to the pages stuck together?
I mean, yeah, but whether that was because it was damp outside, I don't know.
Was this something you'd share with your friends?
Like, well, I don't know.
You seem deeply uncomfortable with this conversation.
Well, I mean, would share it with my friends.
Or did you all look at it together?
No, not like clubs. Like, come round, it's porn nights. I found one in a bush, on the way home. No, that's not.
How old are you we're talking about?
Oh, I don't know.
38. No, yeah. Yeah. Right, okay. And then through like my issues and things, has it put you off having sex with me, Matthew?
Not in a sort of a physical attraction sense,
right.
But it's made me sort of a bit reticent because sex should be a fun, nice thing to do.
Yeah.
And I don't want to make it uncomfortable for you if you're not feeling,
you don't want to hurt me.
Yeah, that's it. So I'd have to.
So you're like, hurry up and fix it.
Yes, because I can't find any bush porn in New Zealand. It's not a thing.
It's not a thing. We have the internet now, though.
That's what they do these days, isn't it? That's right.
Makes it a bit easier. But I have been, I'm a member of a couple of Facebook groups, and some of them are talking about their husbands who are being, he's being unreasonable and all this sort of stuff, which just is so horrendous to me that somebody would be pressuring someone to have sex when they're in pain. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I try.
You do, and you are. You're a great support, and you make me feel good about myself, and I love you.
Oh, stop it. I love you too.
Yes, everyone's puking listening at home. So now, I've always asked everybody a fun fact, so I figured I would ask you, and it's not so much out of the box, but what we call it Jack in the Box. There we go. Jack in the Box fact with Matthew James Harvey. What, do you have a menopause or perhaps?
Well, I could... There is a thing. Well, the male menopause, as it's sometimes known.
Typical, turning it to men stuff.
I know.
No, but this is great. This is great.
You can switch off now if you like, ladies.
No, I want to know as well.
It's andropause is a reduction of testosterone, and that is linked with what is called hypogonadism.
Ooh!
There you go.
Hypogonadism.
Yes,
Right.
and that is when your gonads produce little, if any, sex hormone.
Does something happen to your gonads? Do they swell or do they wither?
They can.
So you can get gonad atrophy.
Well, they can reduce in size,
The
apparently.
word gonad is just a bad word, don't you think?
It's a real word. There are other symptoms, which some of them are similar to menopause symptoms, like low energy, depression, decreased motivation, low self-confidence, difficulty concentrating, insomnia, reduce your muscle mass, make you feel weak. You could also develop breasts, your breast tissue develops, and
Right.
decreased bone density, which can lead to osteoporosis, but that's rare, I believe. Erectile dysfunction, another one, and also reduced libido and infertility.
That is very similar.
Yeah, they're all very similar.
Do you feel that you're experiencing any of these things?
I have, but I don't think it's because it's usually men 50 plus.
Yeah, right.
So I think I'm not quite there yet.
No, you're not. Sometimes he's gone, I feel a bit fat. He goes for one bike ride and it's gone. So you're very lucky with your metabolism now. So it will be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will love you anyway.
Thank you.
I know,
Will you take photos of my gonads?
Of course I will. I know it's also weird, isn't it? I mean, sure, if I can arrange it into a shape. Look, it's a flower with some petals. Yeah, it's like puppetry the penis. Yeah. I know, it's funny. I think that there was a cartoon that I saw once that I just loved. It was this couple and it was all said what people think true love is, and they were in the rain and going, I love you, I love you. Because what true love actually is, and it was one of them bending over and the other one looking at the butt going, it definitely looks less swollen. And I just laughed so much because that definitely does feel like that's what love and aging are. Right, so is there anything else you thought you might want to say about menopause, Matthew?
No, I think I'm all...
You think you've taken up enough space in the menopause
Exactly,
space?
that's actually, yeah, it's not about me, it's about you ladies out there, and you're all marvellous. There you go.
Love you. Okay, bye.
Bye.